Welcome back. You're watching The Global Dialogue. We're in conversation with Sean Doyle on British Airways flight path for India. Let's talk about technology, because I know that your ambition is to make British Airways a technology travel company. So, part of this 7 billion transformation plan that you've unveiled, a large chunk of that is also going towards IT as well as IT modernization. Now, how does that fit in from an India perspective? How significant is India in trying to power British Airways' IT ambition as well?
Well, I think we're investing 7 billion, and about 700 million of that investment is going into our IT estate. Now, about half of that 700 million is building a new .com experience and a new app, and we already have a lot of routes that are working under our new technology, and it's very exciting. The other half is about modernizing our operational systems, and we work with a number of technology providers such as Tata Consultancy Services, and have done for a number of years, who help us power that transformation. But also I think what we're doing with our engagement centre strategy and the technology we're using there, we are showcasing that in our engagement centres here in Noida and also in Gurugram. So India is very much at the forefront of the things we trial and we experiment with.
Well, India's at the forefront of the things you're experimenting with on the tech side, the experiments on the AI side, and from a BA perspective as well as the industry perspective, I mean, how important is AI today, and what role do you believe AI is likely to play for the aviation sector 5 years on?
I think what AI can do is speed up an awful lot of transactions, which will really help the customer experience. So if you ring an engagement centre agent maybe in a year's time, and you have a query maybe about a rebooking or a complex fare item, AI might be able to serve up the solution to the agent much more quickly than we see today.
But you don't see it doing away with the agent yet?
I don't actually. I do think that when people pick up the phone to talk to a human being, they want a human interaction. What we want to do is empower that agent to fulfill customer needs as best as we can. And I see AI playing a very, very big role in giving people access to the answer and the data they need much more quickly than we see today. I also see it just allowing us to run better operations, whether that's simulating networks, whether it's simulating disruption, recovering quicker from things like weather events. I think machine learning and the speed of computing we can get our hands on today will make us run a better operation. But at the same time, flying people around the world is a physical activity, and it will always involve a large number of human beings fulfilling, that operational requirement for us.
How much of AI is in use already at BA today?
We've a number of use cases, but part of what we do by transforming our IT estate and structuring our data is we make it very ready for AI exploitation in the future. So I think one of the things you do need to exploit AI is strong foundations and have your data in the right place. The things we're doing with our digital platforms and the things we're doing with our operational systems, I think will get us into that state of readiness in the future, and then we'll begin to see us really tip the iceberg.
Is it helping you today in terms of utilization, and do you believe that it could help even further in terms of utilization, turning planes around, ensuring that planes stay up on in the sky as opposed to being grounded for any particular reason?
We're already, for instance, we have now electronic log capture of all of our engineering reports on a plane. So our engineers are able to get sight of issues on a plane even before it taxis into the engineering hangar, and we're able to create interventions to maintain fleet health a lot quicker than we would have done. So we're using machine learning in our engineering function, we're using it in our engagement centres, and we're using it in the way we plan and allocate our aircraft across our operation.
Do you have a number in terms of the cost that you've been able to take out on account of the deployment of AI so far?
Right now what we're focusing on is performance improvements, whether that's fleet health and technical reliability, the speed at which we answer calls, the amount of time it takes to respond to a query. So they're the kind of metrics we're looking at right now. We do, as a group, have a £100 million investment agenda in AI, and what we do is we look at what we call use cases that can be deployed not just in British Airways but also in our sister airlines that we work very intensely on.
105 years of taking the world to Britain and Britain to the world, and 100 years of taking India to Britain and Britain to India. But if I were to ask you about innovation and disruption as far as the aviation business is concerned, from your lens, from a customer's point of view, what do you believe we should brace ourselves for? What should we be excited about?
I think what we want to have is really a digital experience that enables all the convenience you need by logging onto the British Airways app. And I think whether that's understanding your loyalty position, using your Avios currency to redeem or earn flights, whether it's changing your flights, making new bookings, suggesting experiences you may want, we want to be the one-stop shop for British Airways customers. And we want to really make that a great relationship. So I think that's number one you will see airlines do. And they're building technologies to do it. And I like to think that we are right now
seamless sort of...
A seamless end-to-end convenient set of services and retail experiences. That's at the heart of where we're heading. And I think when we do that, we get much better insight into what our customer, really wants to experience and where they want to fly to. And as I said, we have plenty of headroom for expanding our network and flying to more places as well in the future.
Are there any regions in particular that you believe that you're currently under-servicing, that you want to prioritize, just given the growth and demand?
Well, I would like to see can we rebuild our Asian network again over time, because it is smaller than it was pre-pandemic. We do, of course, have some reasons as to why it's smaller, restrictions on maybe how we can fly into places like China. But over time, we'd like to rebuild that North Asian network. India is a very important market. We'd look at the depth of the places we fly to today. Can we add frequency, but also potentially new destinations? And also rebalance that with adding new cities into the North American market. So I think you will see us develop network network opportunities both to the east and to the west over the next decade.
Are you going to prioritize your expansion in India, given the fact that it's become a fairly competitive market? I mean, forget the foreign airlines that are servicing India, but now domestic carriers. Air India has grown, and with the merger of Air India and Vistara, you have a much larger fleet at hand. You've now got Indigo looking at flying international once the wide bodies come in. Of course, they're already doing many routes at this point in time. How do you look at the competitive landscape in India?
I think it doesn't surprise me. It's very exciting what's happening in Indian aviation, and I think you will have, very strong global carriers emerge over the next couple of years. And everything I hear is that those plans are taking shape. And if you look at the order books, I think there might be 1,000 aircraft on order for Indian carriers. So, I think we're going to see global players emerge out of the market. For us, India is one of the few markets where we're bigger today than we were pre-pandemic, and we were very quick to expand beyond where we were. So I'd always like to, be part of the growth story, and we're very ambitious, and I think, our track record of 100 years of serving the market speaks for itself. So given the fact that you see this as an exciting market, as well as the competitive intensity of this market, of those 35 new aircraft that are coming in to your fleet over the next few years, how much of that deployment will be prioritized for a market like India? Well, I think you will see a significant proportion. I won't give the exact number now, but trust me, when we look at the fleet order, India is very much one of the markets that shapes what aircraft we buy and how many.
Sean, I want to ask you this, as a CEO today, if you're used to dealing with airspace restrictions and, oil price volatility and IT outages and so on and so forth, what's the thing that you believe you find yourself most vulnerable at today?
Look, I think if aviation is let plough its own, path its own way, and let compete globally and has access to markets, I think we'll be fine, and we've proven that. It's a very competitive industry, but it's an industry which keeps on improving. And I think ultimately, what gets in the way sometimes is obviously the economic cycle, but more often than not, it can be government policy. So I think the more we liberalise access to international markets, the better for consumers and the better for airlines.
Is it getting tighter as opposed to being more open today?
I think it has been. We have a number of open markets in Europe and the US, and I think that's led to massive expansion and expansion of consumer choice. I think India as well has been opening up its air services agreement, but there are many parts of the world where I think we could do with improving access to markets.
I want to ask you something that Indian aviation companies today and the regulator and the government is dealing with. In the last 4 days, we've had a situation of 20+ hoax threats, bomb threats, which have not turned out to be, fortunately, true. But you've had them disrupt airline schedules. You've had them disrupt customer, travel plans, and it's a huge economic cost to an airline as well. Now, how do you deal with this at BA? I mean, how often is this an issue for you?
I think we've well-established protocols, not just at BA, but internationally with airports to deal with these kind of threats. And there is a kind of an assessment you do to understand whether it's a threat that, leads to the grounding of an aircraft or whether it's not something that's credible. I can't really comment on Air India's situation other than I think, airlines have to take the appropriate action that they feel is the right thing to do, and I would support whatever decision they take.
But is the threat assessment done at the airline level, or is it done in conjunction with the regulator as well as the
airport and the airline, and the security agencies will be, very much involved. And we use all of the assets that are at our disposal to make the assessments.
And is there an escalation that you've seen in this sort of a threat?
I haven't seen something on this scale in quite a while, but I couldn't really comment on the specific issues here because I'm not close to it. But other than we've well-established protocols that we enact to make sure that we stay safe.
No, safety, of course, is paramount, and that has always to be kept top of mind. But, Sean, let me ask you this. You set out a vision for a better BA, and you've, of course, specified the areas that you want to move on, punctuality being one of them, customer experience and improving that being the other. And you gave us an indication of what the transformation plan looks like. But on the better BA vision,
yes,
where do you find yourself today?
I think we're making great progress, and there's still a lot of work to do. And we're implementing a very, very exciting transformation and modernising so many parts of the airline. And this year was a hell of a lot better than last year and the year before, and next year will be better again. So, the investment is getting traction, and I'm very happy with the momentum we're creating.
And final question, really, on profitability, because I think that is something that many airlines, and India is no exception, have struggled with, and there are a few that have delivered consistently on profits. But what's the ingredient? What's the magic sauce there? Because you've had your own transformation and turnaround story on that.
You've always got to offer value for money. And never forget that it's about the customer in terms of both experience and the airfares you put out there. And you've got to run a competitive business to do that, but also invest in the things that make a difference for a customer. I don't think it's more complicated than that. And, as long as we keep doing that, I think we'll have a sustainable business. And
do you believe that you've probably got to the best in terms of profitability, or is there more to come now given the expansion plans?
Well, look, I think the modernisation and the transformation should lead to more value. I think a better experience for customers, but also a better, return for the people who give us the money to invest in the airline. And I think we can balance, the needs of our shareholders and the needs of our customers and our colleagues very effectively in the way we're running the business now.
So let me end by asking you, Sean, as CEO today, what's the number one priority and what's the number one risk that keeps you up at night?
Our number one priority really is to execute our transformation well and to improve the experience for customers. That's number one at the minute. I think there's a lot of things that, you have to think about when you're running an airline, but not much keeps me awake at night.
No?
I just love what I do. I have great people around me, and it's a fascinating business.
And how often are we going to see you back in India?
This is my second time now in the last 15 months, so I love coming here.
Well, we hope to see much more of you, Sean. Congratulations once again.
Thank you very much.
On a century here in India, and we wish you the very best of luck as you move forward.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of the Global Dialogue. From all of us here on the team for now, goodbye, and many thanks for watching.